Bethany. Bethany's like super organized whenever she does live shows. Me, shit. Oh, by the way, Brie, our live on Saturday got flagged.
Did it really?
It did.
I fell asleep at some point watching y'all, so I don't know where I was.
I feel like most people fell asleep watching us.
It was great. I laid in bed and read.
It did.
It got flagged?
Yeah, it got flagged because I was cursing so much.
Oh.
Nah.
Yeah, I was cursing a lot. I was cursing a whole lot.
Was that the live where I kept talking about ass juice?
Please don't get this one flagged, man.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. I keep forgetting.
Jeez.
I'm sorry. I totally. Yeah.
Hey, y'all know it takes a little second for the chat to like.
I'm gonna mute myself.
Don't mute yourself. I just say don't get me flagged. Not you. I could unmute you. You know that, right? Hey, y'all. How's everybody doing? Before we get started, you know I like to do a little. What's everybody reading right now? I'm surprised so many people were amped about this. Y'all know BookTube don't like comics.
Saga is the exception because I know more people that don't read comics that read Saga.
That is
Everybody reads Saga on BookTube, but ask them to pick up anything else. It's like, oh my gosh.
Listen, I'm repping my Captain America shirt because I like my comics.
So y'all not gonna say that in the chat?
I have.
Really not.
I have my personal collection here.
Did you go to? Is this the same set that you've had from the from your shop?
It is.
Okay.
I want to go back, but I will say I thought I would like the Doctor Who more. It's alright. It's not really giving.
Yeah. You know, it was so bad that I haven't been to my comic book shop in so long. Why those fools call me like, Ashley, you alive? You good? You straight? I was like, yeah, bro. I was like, I'm good. He was like, I mean, you've been real good to us. I was like, yeah, because I was coming in dropping like $100 almost every week. That's why I've been good to y'all.
They were
he was definitely, he was like, are you good? He was like, you know, we could work something out. Like, I just want to make sure you're good. I said, no, sweetheart, I'm good. I'm fine, I promise.
But that's cool that they called you.
Yeah, they're cool. I mean, I was the only Black woman. I remember the first time one of the guys was like, oh, you're in here for your boyfriend or your husband? I said, no, I'm in here for me.
Have I had this? I have also had this experience in the comic shop, so I feel you. Like, it is. I'm like, I'll be like, don't talk to him. He's not the one buying the comics.
Exactly.
He's pulling out his wallet, but they're mine.
Salter, go take a nap.
Oh, Salter's here? Right? Yes.
Salter, go take a nap.
Salter. It's always a good time when Salter shows up.
It's always a good time.
Always a good time. Redemptor, 5-star read.
5-star.
5-star read. Was so good.
I really liked it. I really liked it too. Who didn't like it?
Oh, Jordan is going to be there on Saturday.
Wait, huh?
Jordan's going to be there on Saturday.
You can just send a pic to your girl.
I will. But yeah, Jordan's going to be there. Hey, everybody. How are you? Hello. Okay, more web content devil. Yeah. DC and Marvel are that's the worst thing about them being, you know, the biggest industry or the biggest publishers in the industry, is that they put out, not all of their content is good, but they put out so much content that it is really, really hard to keep up with their stuff on like a weekly basis. And I follow up with a lot of like comic tubers, and the amount of single issues that they buy a week. Like, people thought I was bad. These people drop some serious money. Like, I know a guy who used to go to my comic book shop and he would literally pay in cash so his wife wouldn't know that he would pay half of what he was getting on his card because that's what his wife would see. And then the other half he'd pay in cash so his wife wouldn't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
You gotta live your life.
Hey, listen.
Yeah, I've never been a big DC Marvel person either. I usually read like the Boom comics or like those kind of like the more like different stories. But
yeah, Boom is a good indie. Image, of course. Image is giving. I feel like Image gives, which Image did Saga.
Yeah.
Image gives DC and Marvel a run for their money. They really
for
do.
Sure.
That's because a lot of DC and Marvel creators leave and end up at Image, and that's how Image was created by people who have left. They're too big. companies. Bree's hair does look amazing.
Well, thank you. I will say this. I blame Ashley.
No, I take no responsibility for that.
For the comic situation I have over here. Do I have a subscription to Marvel? Yes, and it's terrible. Let me tell you why. I'm reading a comic one day. I went through like 12 of them. I don't know if I told you this, Ashley. I was reading the Valkyries. The Valkyries referred to another comic. I read that. Then that one referred to another one. I read that. That one referred to another one. And I was just hopping. I was like, oh, what they talking about? I don't know what they talking about. So I'm hopping around. Did I understand what happened? No, I was still confused, but I think I should read more.
Yeah,
comics are fun. They're fun until you move and you have lots of long boxes in your closet.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not looking forward to moving. It was funny because my partner came over the other day and he didn't even realize like how much I collected. So he sat in the chair and he was like, so I know some of those are worth some money. I said, you're right. He said, so you got to go take a shower or anything, or you got something
trying to rob you.
He was trying to rob me.
Rude.
He was trying to rob me. I was like, that's so disrespectful.
Does he not know where? Is he not aware that you know where he lives?
He doesn't care. He does not care. He even tried to use my child. I'll come babysit for you if you need me to. So I can go look through so you can look through the comics.
It's true though. We pulled out a comic and looked it up, and it was like worth a couple $100, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
It was just a random cover we'd gotten.
Yeah.
Of a Deadpool comic, and I was like, "Wait, what? Why?"
Yeah. I bought an America Chavez, the new run of America Chavez. I bought. It was a second or third issue. Any issues that have an introduction of a new character are worth coins, especially first print. And America Chavez, I had bought that. When I went into the shop, I bought it for $3.99 because I had it. I had it on my pull list. And when I went to my shop, the guy was like, "Yeah, you know this one was already the week that it dropped, the day after it dropped." He's like, "You know this is already worth like 30, 40, right?" Yeah. I was like, "Dang, really?" He said, "Yeah." He said it's already selling on eBay for $30 or $40.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I scored I have Gambit and Rogue's first appearances. And yeah, they're fun. Yeah. When you find them, it's money. So fun. Yeah. And I had Harley Quinn's first appearance and first run.
Dang.
We were deep in it. This was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
We both had. It was bad. You
don't
want to see my closet of long boxes, y'all. It's bad.
It's a nasty habit. It can be a nasty habit.
That's why I pulled back. I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah. The drawing behind me, y'all, that's my drawing of Princess Tiana. You can never see it when I film, but yes, I did draw Princess Tiana back in the day and got it framed. All right. Well, if y'all want to introduce yourselves, clearly I think everybody knows who I am since it's on my channel. Erica?
Erica, me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm Erica. My channel is The Broken Spine. And I am fairly new to comics, graphic novels, manga. So, but I've read Saga.
Okay.
Already. So that's it.
What's your channel name? Oh, you already said it?
The Broken Spine, but I'll say it again.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Izzy. This is my first time rereading Saga in 7 years, I think.
Oh, wow.
About I kept up, right? So I read it early. I mean, I have somewhere on my shelf down there is the big bind up of the first group, that hardcover one.
Yeah.
I looked back and I realized I hadn't read volume 1 in 7 years, in volume 2. And I was like, this is wild.
Yeah, it is wild.
I forgot a lot. But yeah, so I mostly read romance, but I also read mangas and comics and other stuff too. And my channel's happy for now. I don't know if I said it or not.
What's your favorite comic and manga?
Saga might be my favorite comic.
Okay.
Honestly. It's so hard. It varies too. Okay. There's some Batman runs I really love.
Okay.
And then manga, Sweat and Soap.
It's so good.
Close second
it's
is
so
Our
good.
Teachers Are Dating, and that's a sapphic. It's kind of like sapphic Sweat and Soap.
Yeah.
And
Oh
it's
yeah,
really
Sweat and
cute.
Soap is good. I only got on it because of you and
Shay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Very worth it.
I feel like they converted a lot of people to read that because I didn't read it until Isabel said to. So
Yeah, it's good. It's really good.
Well, I vetted it. I was like, I think you'll like it. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think it's too rushed as far as like them hooking up and stuff.
Yeah, I'm very particular about certain sex scenes in books and stuff, but that's just me being demisexual. So
Completely get it.
It's yep. Well, I guess since I'm talking, I'm gonna. My name is Chelsea, and I'm from the channel Chelsea Zhao, Zhao at the end, but that's how you pronounce it. And I read a little bit of everything except for like historical and nonfiction mostly. I try, but those are the ones I don't reach for very often. So I do also read comics and manga and all that kind of stuff. And I also haven't reread Saga in like 6 years, but I stopped at volume 6 because I'm one of those people that like has to have multiple volumes to continue.
Same.
And then volume 9 came out. I heard it was devastating, and I heard they went on hiatus, and I was like, I'm out. I'm waiting until it comes back. So I've read up through volume 6, and so this is going to make me get through the rest of them. So
Chelsea is amazing, y'all.
So
Definitely check out Chelsea's channel.
I adore Chelsea.
I do too.
I think I'm subscribed.
Well, if you're not, you need to be.
I firmly believe that I am.
If you're not, you need to fix that immediately.
I will. As we speak. Dang, Ashley, you didn't put the link in the description?
Did I not?
Nah.
Okay, well, it doesn't. The way StreamYard does it is like I can add people, but it doesn't connect. So when we get off, I will go and fix everybody's links.
Okay, that's fine.
Hi, my name's Bree. I'm a little tired.
Wake up.
I know. I'm a little tired. My channel is Lock Petition.
Have you read Saga before?
Okay, I was like,
I was about to prompt her too. I was like, okay, she read the question.
help me. I read Saga in Peace Corps a couple years ago, and I said, what the freak is this? I'm sorry. I said, what's this? And I think I finished a couple volumes and said, I'm going to head on out. And then I wanted to reread them. So this was a good time to reread. And I realized there was a lot I forgot, especially the robot sex scene really got me.
Yeah.
It was a lot to take in. And the notes of sex with a Spider Woman with 5 to 6 eyes, and maybe 5 to 6 holes. Not really.
Bree, do you want a monster romance recommendation that also plays off of
I
spiders?
think it might be a no for me, Bob. I'm gonna take no 5,000. I'm not gonna do that, but yeah. So I thought it was interesting. I hope the 2 main characters go off into the night. I don't know. I liked it. I don't know what I'm supposed to say, so I'm just randomly saying shit.
If y'all don't, that was good, Bree. You did good, honey. You did good. If y'all don't mind, I know Chelsea, you do have to leave at a certain point. I think Bree, you probably need to leave at a certain point so you can sleep. But we can, if y'all have questions about like where to start with comics or like how they're formatted or questions like that, we can answer some of those questions at the end. Just so I just want to make sure we have enough time because I know Chelsea definitely is going to have to leave at some point, and I want to give us enough time to be able to talk about volume 1 and volume 2, and then we can, if y'all have any questions about comics, y'all know I'm game. This is like a passion thing for me, so I'm game to answer any questions. Izzy also has read a lot of comics, has a lot of experience, so I know that she can answer some. Chelsea has had a lot of experience if she's still here too.
Not us newbies, Erica. Newbies.
Y'all are newbies to the game,
Right?
but there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a newbie. As many people as we can convert over, I'm down for it. Saga. I have read up to volume 7. I'm like Chelsea, very much so, where some comics, a lot of comics actually do end up, especially if it's a lengthy series, they do end up going on hiatus, which gives the writers and the authors to kind of work on other projects, to take a break, kind of figure out where they want the next story arcs to go. Saga actually has been on hiatus for a minute. But I've always been a big fan of Brian K. Vaughan. I have read Why the Last Man by him. I have read what else has he done? Paper Girls. I've read the entire I've read the entire Paper Girls series, which I love. If you like sci-fi, time travel, Paper Girls is a series for you to read. The Runaways, I'm not a huge fan of the TV show, but I do like The Runaways. He did a nice job with that. I feel like there's probably a couple more of his that I've left out, but I've read a lot of Brian K. Vaughan stuff. So Saga kind of was like a natural pickup for me. And Fiona Staples, in my opinion, carries the book with the art. And like someone made a comment the other day, he does not, or maybe somebody told me this at work, like he never acknowledges the success of Saga without making sure Fiona is always brought into the fold, because that art in that book is beautiful. So I don't know how many times I've read the first few volumes. It could be more than twice at this point, but I don't always keep track of how many times I've read it. But even reading it now, it was some stuff that I had also forgotten. But when I read it, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I remember now what happened.
When I got to the end of volume 1, I was like, oh shit, I remember where all of this is going. And I was like,
I remember but Chelsea, when because I was a little behind I just finished up volume 7 by the time volume 9 had dropped, and I was like, absolutely not, because everybody was like, one of my old coworkers, he read it and he was like, Ashley, he was like, that was rough. And I was like, I don't want to read it. And then they dropped the news that they were going on hiatus. And I said, well, I'm definitely not reading it now. And then they announced recently that issue number 55 comes out in January. If you're interested, I would recommend pre-ordering that issue, because it's going to be worth some money. I promise you.
Have you seen the pre-order for it yet? Because I haven't.
You can order it through you may be able to
Entertainment Earth. Yeah. One that comic shop, Midtown Comics.
Yes.
Does online shipping. There's a couple others. You can also order it on Comixology. Yeah. If you just want a digital copy.
If you want a digital copy. If you're into collecting, it's a lot of people who are going to be pre-ordering that first issue because of the fact that it's going to be worth some money, especially because it's coming back from a hiatus. I probably will see if my comic book shop is going to take pre-orders or not, but I may just go through an online vendor. So volume 1, what would you rate it? Let's start there. Out of 5 stars.
4.2.
Oh, where's my camera?
5.
Oh, 5.
4.2.
Not even 4.25?
4.2.
Okay, 4.2. Whatever. Izzy?
4.5.
4.5.
Saga is like one of those books that sits on my favorites list, but I can't rate it like a 6-star for reasons we'll get into.
I would say a 4.5 as well.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Only because, okay, I'm selfish. I'm asking for me. I'm sure other people in the comments also have questions, but that's related to this. So what I get confused about is volumes. I don't understand the lingo. So can somebody break that down when it comes to comics? Like, I kind of get it with mangas, but comics is, no.
Okay. So an issue is those ones that are stapled together and they're like 30-something pages. It literally, like that you have. Yeah, that's an issue.
Okay.
What you're thinking of as a volume, technically in the comic book world, is called a trade, because it's a trade paperback. In trades, usually collect around 4 to 5 issues together. It usually contains a story arc.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a complete story. It's just it's a piece of the story. Then you have hardcovers, and then you have what's called an omnibus. And I'll show you what an omnibus looks like. Hold on, let me turn my camera off because I don't want y'all to see my backside.
So a trade could be like a couple of these.
Yeah, a trade would be a couple of those. So manga in Japan are actually released like in a magazine as those chapters that are bound up into a volume. So it's not super different, but it's different, if that makes sense.
So this
is different for us, yeah.
Yeah.
This is an omnibus.
And what does that mean?
So an omnibus has a whole lot of issues in it. Like this contains issues 42 through 82.
Of the same comic.
So this is all Fables by Bill Willingham.
Okay.
And if it's a shorter comic, it could be the entire comic
in
completely
one
together.
Omnibus.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a
but
volume.
Fables is long.
So what happens when they introduce, okay, for example, like Black Panther, do they continue to go in order or no?
Not always.
That's what I'm confused about.
Because what ends up happening is sometimes when a new writer takes over, they'll start at issue 1 again. That's why Marvel and DC are so hard to keep up with sometimes, because it always doesn't, it's not an always like, oh, we're going to just keep numbering the same issues like in consecutive order. For example, Venom by Donny Cates just finished up its 200th issue.
Damn,
the new writer who picked up Venom is starting from issue 1.
Come on.
So what makes it confusing is that sometimes, and it makes sense because sometimes when a new writer picks up a story, they're not continuing the same story arc that the previous writer before them has continued. What they will end up doing is they're starting their own, they're putting their own creative flair on this character that everybody knows. So like Ta-Nehisi Coates, he just finished his run of Black Panther. So now John Ridley, the writer of 12 Years a Slave, he's now picked up Black Panther. I don't know what the numbering is going to look like there, but that's why they call it a run. So when a writer sticks with a character through a certain number of issues, it is their run, which is why I say the Donnie, is his last name Coates or Cates? Whatever. His name is Donnie. That's why I say the Donnie run of Venom, because he did Venom for an X amount of issues, and now someone else is picking up, so then it will be their run of Venom.
Yep.
The more you read and the more you talk to people who are into comics, the more the lingo will make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will also say, if you find a writer you like, you can go see if they've written for like the big companies like DC or Marvel, and go jump in there to try them. Like I really like Kelly Sue DeConnick, so like I love her Captain Marvel run. Right, it's amazing. So like when I wanted to read Captain Marvel, that's where I started.
Kelly did Bitch Planet, didn't she?
Yeah.
Bitch Planet
and Pretty Deadly. That went
I
on
didn't
hiatus.
like Pretty Deadly.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked the art. That's why I liked it though.
Bitch Planet was good though. That was a good one.
These two writers I like.
Who's that?
Stevie Niles and Damian Worm.
I'm not. I think you've told me that before, and I'm not familiar with them.
You can Google them.
Obsessed with it. Mad that I don't have the other volumes, but I mean issues. Oh Lord. Anyway, continue. Saga.
Okay. Saga. Okay, so Izzy, why did you? If I had to rate it, I think I'll go with a 4. Izzy, why did you stick with a 4.5, even though it's your favorite series? Why did you go with a 4.5 instead of a 6-star rating?
The slurs. Yeah. At the end of the day, like I know, we've talked about it before. Comics are always behind. We know this.
Yeah.
But it's not old enough to still not be like, you know better.
Yeah. It isn't old enough.
If that makes sense. Like if I was reading, it was from the 80s, like again, you still know better. Do not get me wrong. You still know better, but I can kind of like push it off a little more in my mind. And this, I'm like, this is we knew better.
Yeah.
Well, I think it depends on where you grew up and stuff too, though, just because like there were certain things like I didn't remember that they had those in there when I started rereading it. And then I saw it and I was like, are we really doing this? And then I looked it up and it was like first published in 2012. In my area of like Phoenix, there were people still saying those things in 2012. Like I was only in my young 20s when that was coming out. So a lot of people in college were still saying those things. So I don't want to like give them a pass, but I do think it was on that cusp of like, you should know better, but people were still really doing it without having any consequences, which is not good. But
yeah, which is also accurate. But it just like, I love it, but that just always knocks stuff down.
Yeah, it does. It knocked it down for me too, because I had not remembered, because like you too, Chelsea, I read this pretty early on, and it's amazing that even within, you know, like a 9-year span, it's amazing how much people or societies evolve, where now you can go back and read it and you're like, yeah, it stands out. It's like a sore thumb now. Like I think reading it back then and seeing some of that language, I was probably like, it didn't really cross my mind as much. But now that I'm older, it's like, you know, I'm like, dang, come on, Brian. Like, you know better than this. But so for those of y'all who are watching, Saga Volume 1, and I'm sure the entire series, as we go through, we're probably going to see some things that are a little questionable. Izzy and I have talked about this before, where comics really are behind. We think publishing like in prose is behind. Comics is like 10 steps behind. They're always super behind because the industry itself has always been dominated by, you know, cis hetero white men. And because of that, you get certain perspectives and lens that are not really diverse. And you're probably going to see a little bit of that through your course of reading Saga. Probably not so much towards like the later volumes, but the first volume, the collected volume, did not come out until 2012. So some of the language in there is rather dated and is, to be honest with you, is to be expected in old school or older comics, even in 2012. But what did y'all think of the story overall?
I thought it was a beautiful story of two people from different lives and backgrounds. Sorry, different lives and backgrounds coming together. I really liked, forget their names because I don't always remember characters' names, but the woman, brown woman,
Alana,
love for the other dude,
Marco.
I was here for that. And when they got into an argument, she was like, "You better say I was the best, you know, thing you ever had." And I said, "Go ahead and claim it."
Yeah. I think the whole premise, because I don't feel like anything had really been done like this prior to Saga coming out, this sci-fi intergalactic like war going on, but then there's romance in it
and fantasy
yeah, it's a lot going on in it, and that combination I don't think had been done before, which makes Saga really, really stand out. Because when I first read it, I definitely was not expecting basically like a star-crossed lover Romeo and Juliet type of situation. It feels very Romeo and Juliet. One of the things that I love that Brian did with this is that it's not from Marco's and Alana's perspective. It is from, what is the...
Hazel.
Goodness gracious. Getting like Brie rubbing off on me.
I wrote them down when I reread it, so I had the names.
I love that it's from Hazel's perspective. Like, we literally are getting a future version of Hazel who is telling us already from volume 1, the story is not going to end good.
Yeah.
And you know that, and I feel like it makes the book so much darker and beautiful because you know that something tragic is going to happen. But I appreciated that in every chapter, or what would be every issue, there's some glimmer of hope. There's like, you know, there were good moments. Even if things didn't turn out good, there were good moments.
Yeah, they made her an amazing narrator.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
When I first read it, because I read volume 1 like right before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And then I immediately got volume 2. And then, y'all don't know, I work at a bookstore. So I was like, oh, wait, there's the bind up.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time we had it in hardcover.
Oh, you the big one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, whatever. I may not continue with it. And then COVID happened, whatever. And when I reread it, I was like, this is very Romeo and Juliet-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it more, but also with the dated language, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, no. And I
Mm-hmm.
did knock it down because of that. But
Yeah.
um I really enjoyed it, but I do have some issues with
What are
it.
your issues?
Um it definitely is the dated language
Mm-hmm.
and the how can I say this? Let me think on it. Come back to me.
Okay.
Okay, well, so yeah, it's been a while since I reread it, and one thing that I didn't expect to feel this time, so I still gave it a 5 stars because I remember absolutely loving it the first time. And it is one of those things with me, like when I'm rating something, all of my book ratings are basically like gut feelings of how much I'm enjoying something. So even though it had some issues, it had a whole nother spin on it that I wasn't expecting to have this time, because the first time I read it was like 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And this time I read it and I have a kid. And Alana became my new favorite character. Like, I liked her the first time, but she is so absolutely real about like childbirth and that postpartum period and like that whole thing. And I'm just like sitting here like, oh my gosh, like everything she is saying just
Yeah.
hit me so much harder that I ever expected it was going to.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's on the run like the day after she has her kid.
The
And
day
I just
of.
the day of
Yeah.
too. Like they're
Yeah.
like tromping through the forest like day 3, still doing all this kind of stuff. And I'm just that kind of stuff. I don't know. It just hit me extra hard this time. And so even though it did have some little issues here and there, my reading experience with it, I couldn't not give it a 5 because I still just loved it that much.
I agree with you, Chelsea. I think the first times that I read Saga, you know, because I haven't read it since I had my daughter.
Yeah, we had
And
around
I
the
think,
same time.
yeah, and I think that I always forget that they're really
like a
not
month or two apart.
They're like
Yeah.
a month or two apart. You know, I think it is different now reading this as a mother and kind of seeing like the realness, and it's amazing that Brian K. Vaughan as a writer, no, you know, not gonna lie here, as a man was able to capture just the fumbling. She's fumbling as a mother, and it's so realistic. Even when she meets Marco's father, she's like, I really am not that bad at it. I'm really a lot better than but it's true, because I feel like as a parent, every single day you're kind of like, yeah, I really don't know if I'm really doing this right. We're just gonna go with it. Whatever happens, happens. We take it day by day. And there's a realness to that. She's not a perfect parent, and I like that he kept it real, that it was just like they were learning. They were learning as they went, even with Marco as a father. You know, it's crazy that even I don't know what he was. Was he a lemur? Like the guy, was it him who said that? The guy that sold them out at the end?
Oh,
Or
I
maybe
don't
it
know
was
what he was.
maybe it was somebody else. I think it was another character that was like, who would bring a child into a world, a
With
world
war,
like
yeah.
this. Yeah.
It was a contract killer.
Yeah, the will.
Yeah, the will.
The will. And it's true, because even as a parent now, I'm thinking like, I must have been batshit out of my mind to bring my child into a world like this. And you do all that you can because you want to protect your child from it. Granted, we're not in an intergalactical battle or anything like that, but we might as well be, with the stuff that's going on here, just, you know, in the US alone, not even talking about what's going on in the globe. But that hope and that love that's kind of shown throughout the pages, it's like, that's why you do it. That makes it worth it. Izzy, you have thoughts? We've been chatting it up since
I know. Sorry, the dog was. He
Yeah.
was like, "Not tonight. You are not sitting at your computer. You're gonna sit downstairs." All right, buddy. We'll move. I mean, I have similar feelings. I think the reread, even as like I've gotten older, it hits different. That whole like the childbirth. Like I have no interest in children, but like I'm surrounded by people with kids. So I mean, but like not in a bad way. Just
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it does hit like in a way when you're like thinking about like all your friends who had like traumatic births and just like all the things. Yeah, I don't. It's just such a good story. Like it's so interesting. It's such an interesting story. I don't think I've read interviews with Brian K. Vaughan. I feel like I need to see like if he talks about the inspiration for this, because it's such an interesting mix of like all the elements of things, because we've got romance, but like we all know this is headed towards a tragedy that I'm not prepared for.
I just feel like we get tragedy every time. Every time we get
We do.
They set up a lot.
Yeah. But I know someone...
I feel like there's like such tastes of hope in moments still.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. And Hazel brings
it's balanced enough.
Yeah.
Wow, I was gonna buy the bind up, and I'm looking at this price.
Yeah, bind ups are not cheap. I'd say that right now.
Man, they said $118.
Yeah.
I said, hell.
Yeah, I'm telling y'all, like, if you really want to hurt my feelings, if you get rid of my manga, my comics, and my graphic novels, there's money in that. Like, they're not cheap at all.
So much more expensive than normal books.
Yes, and people like
for the time that you spend. People
ask like, oh, you know, book buying, and people are like, oh yeah, no. I really don't buy books like that. I just don't haul the comics and stuff that I buy. That's the problem. Because I don't feel like BookTube's really interested in that. But when I have book money, that's where my book money goes to. Is the comics, to be quite honest with you, because they're so expensive.
I mean, I've got a 50 volume plus manga haul coming probably soon.
I can't. I've been listening to you. And then Shay gets some stuff in Viz.
I'm gonna sit there and watch it, Izzy. I'm gonna be honest.
That's fine. I mean, if you have the money to do it, there is no problem with it. It's when you're gonna like go into debt. I would say if you want it, honestly, the hardback compendiums are like stunning in person.
They are. They're beautiful. I'm debating about.
And I think they're on the sale on Amazon right now.
Yeah, I was thinking about getting the single volumes, and I was like, I may just go ahead and get the hardback compendiums and go ahead and call, because I know that's like I'm gonna want the nicer editions of those. Yeah,
I think they're worth it. I love mine that I have. It's stunning.
Yeah. Who was y'all's favorite out of this first volume? I know, like, when you read volumes together, it kind of stuff starts to bleed together. But if you had to pick outside of Alana, because I think Chelsea, you and I definitely relate heavy to her, who's another character that either surprised you or you ended up liking and you weren't expecting to really like them?
The father.
Okay. Marco's father?
The dad. Yeah, Marco's
That's mostly
dad
in volume 2, but he's a good character.
Yeah.
The mama, she's still trash to me as it stands.
No trash?
She's trash.
That's funny.
No.
I look like the Will. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I do like the Will, honestly.
Yeah,
I like him more this reread than I liked him the first time.
Yeah.
And I really like the liar cat, even though
the
Lion Cat.
The Lion Cat. That's
I love Lion Cat.
One of my favorite characters.
Even though y'all know how I feel about cat.
Well, I have 5, so.
You have 5?
Oh, I have 5 cats, yeah.
Oh, you have 5 cats. I thought you had 5 characters.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought you
They're
said.
like sitting on your table, are they, Chelsea?
They eat on the counter because we can't have my dog eat it, the cat food, so.
My cat is not in my kitchen. Absolutely not.
No, we clean up, but they do have to eat on the counter. They sit in a little line.
Wow.
They're trained. I like it.
Oh, they're cute, yeah.
So, okay. I said the Will. Izzy, who's yours?
I think the Will, Lion Cat. I kind of like Stock more this time, too.
Really?
I don't know. She's just interesting. It's probably the monster romance reader.
I think it's
like,
a
I
monster
want your
romance
story.
reader. I mean, but she doesn't last long. I forget that she does not. I don't know why I thought she carries. Maybe because Will, like, still kind of like the hallucinations, the feelings are still there. But I did not realize that the stalk, like, she literally lasts all of a handful of pages, and all
I
of a
didn't
sudden
either.
I thought she went into volume 2 as well.
I
Yeah.
thought she
I
did
was like,
too.
wait.
And she doesn't even make it out the first volume. I was like, dang, we gonna get rid of her like that?
Well, especially
was
with her
ruthless.
character design too. Like she comes in and I'm like, this is what nightmares are made of. You expect her to be like a big presence.
Yeah.
No.
She wasn't at all.
I just would
Can you
love like a
remind me who
side
this character
volume.
is?
Huh?
You don't remember names. Can y'all remind me who this character
The
is?
spider lady.
The spider
Ah,
lady.
yeah, she a no for me. When she
But
hit
like-
our boy right
Oh,
here,
that-
volume
yeah.
1,
Yeah.
Yeah.
page 14, she hit it. I said garbage.
Okay, but would you not read like a prequel volume about her?
I would.
I would read the whole
It'd be
series.
so interesting.
I
Just
would.
to see her murder men.
I
That'd be
would,
great.
you know what? I would like to see a live anime, not necessarily animation, but a live action with her as a character.
As a character, the CGI that would have to be sick.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah, I have arachnophobia, so I wasn't as turned off as I anticipated I would be. But maybe it was just because she just came in, like she flew in just this confident, like bad A. And what was so crazy about it too is that like and this is probably why I ended up liking the Will, because I forgot that he ended up rescuing when the scene happened when he went to Sextillion. When he went to that planet, it clicked again. I was like, oh, this is where they find the little girl from Tang. And I forgot like how he just straight was like, this is a whole child. Like, this is not going to happen. I was like, he definitely is ruthless, but there's a piece of him that has some sense of morality and like an ethical backbone where like, you know, there's some things I draw the line on. Like you can't prostitute a child out. Like this is just not happening, you know? But then when the stalk had said that she knew like they had come from similar backgrounds, that's why I think I would read a story solely focused on her, because she came from a tragic past, which is what makes her so ruthless. But it's such a shame that we never get to find out really what her whole story is, because she dies so freaking early.
Yeah, I don't know. She's just, I don't like spiders either. Like I have arachnophobia as well, but I was just like, I don't know. I was just like thinking about like I would love.
Yeah.
Like I want to bind up of her like just murdering men.
Murdering men.
A whole volume, you know.
Yeah.
It's like 3 issues. I'd be thrilled. I'd be like, sweet, let's watch you murder some men.
Like a mini series, like 6 issues. Like I would read a 6-issue storyline with just like her in it. But like the way that, and then I feel like the prince, the robot, he's worse.
Oh my god.
Than the Will.
He's so bad.
Oh my god.
He's horrible.
That when he first made his appearance and then what he was doing, I was like, oh my god, I want to chop him in the throat. Oh yeah, he doesn't have a throat.
No, he has wires and cords.
Yes.
But you know what?
Creepy ass TV.
Yeah.
But you know what's even crazy about that though is that Brian K. Vaughan still even tries to add a little humanity to him, which we don't really see until volume 2, where this man is suffering from PTSD badly. And you don't realize that. It's not justifying, but I think Brian K. Vaughan tried to humanize him a little bit, because he straight was like, just kill me. And I was like, whoa, because I forgot about that scene. I was like, oh, he's really going through it, which it was shocking because he wanted to stay home in that first volume. He's like, I don't want to go back.
He wanted to stay home and make a family. Like literally, that's all he wanted. And his dad was like, nope.
And we never see his dad on page, do we?
No, not yet. I don't know if he comes in later. I know we get more stuff with the prince later, but I don't know if his dad ever shows up. But so far, I
Yeah,
don't think we've ever seen him.
on page.
I don't think we do.
So far, we haven't.
I can't remember if we ever do see him on page. But his dad has a very to be like a character that's kind of hidden in the shadows. He has such a huge effect on the robot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How did y'all feel about the fact that this war literally was on landfall and what's the name of the moon?
Wreath.
Is it Wreath?
Wreath, yeah.
But it doesn't take place on their planet. Like
Yeah, they even said that by the time, I think it's in volume 2, but by the time Marco was born, there's no more war. It's all been proxied out. Like, that's ridiculous to me. Like, the people that are mad at each other aren't even fighting the war anymore unless they decide to go to those planets that are fighting the war.
But it's not even their war anymore.
Well, it's funded by their governments. They're hiring these other people. Like, that's it.
It feels weirdly accurate to war.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say is that it's not, they're fighting a war that's not their own.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Even though we know that it's funded or it's being funded by the respective governments, the wars that the other planets are fighting are not their own.
No, it's not their own. No, it's Wreath and Landfall. Yeah.
And the casualties of war, when you've got you personally have no stake in it, other than you're using our resources, you're using our people or our communities to fight your battle, and you're destroying us. So
do you feel like Brian K. Vaughan was trying to make a statement?
I do.
About how we operate anyway.
Yeah.
US is particularly good for that.
Yep. We recruit for our own cause, and these people have nothing to do with our cause. They could care less, but what are we giving them?
I think it's interesting too. Like, I'm married. My partner is a veteran, and like literally, people are like, "Oh, well, what do you do then?" He's like, "We should have never been there. Like, there was no point." And like, they're stunned, and I'm like, more veterans feel this way than you think.
A lot more veterans feel that way.
My cousins feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially those that were like, he was frontline. So like, if you were frontlines, like a lot of them are just like, this was so fucking stupid. And I just felt that in the comic in that way. I'm like, God, this feels a lot like all of our friends who are veterans, and obviously my partner as well.
I think, I can't remember if this was in volume 1 or volume 2, the squirrel.
Volume 2.
That hurt my feelings because there are so many people in real life who buy into whatever country has kind of recruited them, and that same country, or in this case, that same planet, really doesn't have their best interests at hand. Like, how are you a medic fighting in this war? And I felt so bad because the squirrel was like, it's in the treaty, they're not supposed to be using gas. And then the squirrel's like, they never gave me a mask. And then that whole scene where the squirrel's like, am I dying? I know it feels, because I know someone had made that comment, and I do agree that sometimes the brutality behind Saga is going to feel pointless, but there's a point to it. And it's not always a good point. It's not always a point that is supposed to be well received, because it is senseless dying. And I feel like that's the point that Brian K. Vaughan was trying to say, is like, people don't need to be dying like this, but people die like this because of stupidity, where you have two planets, or in any case, 2 or more nations fighting, and it's not those nations that are losing out, it's the collateral damage. And even Hazel had said something like that. Like, even though it was about Gwendolyn, like, collateral damage is a serious thing, and people don't care who gets hurt in the long run as long as their point is being made. So it's
that squirrel part was hard.
It was hard. It made me, I stopped reading it.
I did too.
I did. I had to put it down. Paused. And I went and I took a shower. I was like, I don't And I don't know if it's because I am older reading it now, that a lot more things that I read, like when I read this when I was younger, there were a lot of things about this comic that I did not pick up on, which is why I'm so glad that we are rereading it because I wouldn't have made those connections. And it goes back to my belief that this is why comics are legitimate literature.
Yep.
Because you can take something as simple, and it's not simplistic because you can even go into Fiona Staples' art.
Mm-hmm.
The complexity of the art, the beauty of the art, and you can convey a message of this is what senseless war ends up happening. Even in this fantasy world, this is actually happening on our doorsteps at this moment. So
And when that scene happened, I was reading it last night, and I had already had like a shit-tastic day at work, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna unwind and gonna read Saga, right? Do my reread. So I got to that part, and I was like, nope, I gotta stop, because coupled with my day and then this, and then knowing that this is just senseless and this is what we do and blah 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 blah, I was just like, I'm not in a headspace to like be gentle with anything or anybody. So
definitely. What were some of your favorite parts about it though? What did you love?
I like the fact that he ripped off her umbilical cord with his teeth.
Wow, Brie.
That's a choice.
That's a choice.
I thought that was really beautiful, because usually men are like, gross, and it's like, was it gross when you were up in that thing?
And they do talk about
That's
that.
true. He was very like involved in the birth and like
Mm-hmm.
not freaked out, which I feel like is not what we normally see represented in men when it comes to birth. I feel like in books, I loved the romance book side plot personally. Of course, this is no surprise probably to anyone.
No.
But it was like I tweeted a screenshot of like Alana explaining the book, and I was like, "This is all of us right now that are reading monster romance." We're like, "But wait, it's really cute. She works in a milking farm," and everyone's like,
yeah, I definitely appreciated that now that I have started reading romance more. That the concept of the romance book being the catalyst for how really Alana and Marco get together. Yeah.
And I think my favorite was, well, there are actually two. Like when Alana is asleep and Marco's father makes her some clothes.
I was just about to say that.
And then the other part was when Alana had Hazel and she was like, I broke her.
That was cute.
And he was like, okay.
Yeah.
No, it's fine.
I really liked when the witches, what were they called? Not witches, but oh my God, midwives were like disturbed us. The babies about to be born.
Oh, the planet that was hatching?
Yeah, I kind of like that creepy shit.
Because their heads were on
upside down.
Yeah.
They were creepy.
Well,
there's a lot of creepy art in this, more than I remember. Like, I didn't remember how much was creepy.
Like that giant troll thing in volume 2.
But listen, that scene was hilarious.
No, it's hilarious, but at the same time, they show him so much.
And I'm like, don't look. And then like they show it, and I was like,
it was.
I do love that he's trying to protect his mom that whole time, though. He's like, don't look, and she's like, it's nothing I haven't seen before.
I'm like, honey, I haven't seen anything that looked like that because it looked diseased and it was about to fall.
It was horrible.
It was horrible.
What does he have?
I don't want to know what STI that was.
I don't either. It just backs up my story that that type of genitalia is not cute. Like
it was not. It was uneven. There were boils and hairs and boards. I feel like there was something green seeping out. I was
I
like,
think you're right. Oh.
Yeah.
oh, it was
I
so
tried not to pay
nasty.
too much attention.
It was definitely like, yeah, you're not coming towards me.
Mhm.
You are going to go to a doctor.
He needed to see a
Yeah,
doctor.
not a doctor. I just felt like I looked at it and I said, this is the reason why I don't engage in this in real life.
I'm done.
Because it's just a hairy thing, and it's looking at you, and you looking at it, and it's looking at you,
And you try to run from it.
it's just I'm just saying, bowls ain't really giving what it's supposed to have done gave.
And it was like,
Yes.
It was a
I
micro.
was like, where is it? Because all I saw were these two big things like hanging.
Hanging.
Like,
And then
where's
pus.
Waldo?
It was
I
a
can't
nub.
find it.
It was a nub.
It was enough.
Nubby. It was a little nubby. I said no.
This is a good question. I've been thinking of reading Saga for a long time. What reasons would you give for checking this comic series out?
I would say if you want a story that's going to show you the hardships and also some moments of joy of when people from two different walks of lives decide to come together, and like their determination to be together and to protect their child, this is it for you.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely say if you are wanting to see love and like how it transcends across nationalities and races and space, that would be a good one.
Mm-hmm. I think if you want to see reality, because
Yeah.
you know, love is beautiful, but love is also not easy, you know?
Mm-mm.
And that's something I feel like in my real life, I have to remind myself of that. Whether that's romantic love with a partner, you know, platonic love with a friend, love of a child, love of parents. You know, love is a beautiful thing, but it's hard work, and sometimes it hurts. And sometimes it hurts really, really bad. Not in a point that it hurts you to where like you it's breaking you or it's hurting you or demeaning you, but sometimes it hurts in the sense that you love these people so much that at some point you're going to lose them, because that's how life works, you know. But I think what I love about the fact that Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona do with this story is that you know that it's not going to end well. You see this beautiful relationship between these two people. You see the love that they have for their child. And you know that it's not going to end up being a perfect fairy tale, but they never lose hope. And I think the theme of in like hard times, sometimes what you need is that hope to keep going.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what Alana and Marco had, was this hope that they could, you know, I mean, you have everybody in the whole galaxy hunting for you and your child at this point. Everybody it's an infinite amount of money on your head. Anybody that can get in was trying to get in to kill these two and take their child. But they still had hope that they could get away. Even if you as a reader know it's inevitable and it's not going to happen. And I'm not saying that because I know that for a fact, because I don't know. It's just that if you've read it, you kind of get the vibe.
The book definitely opens in a way that indicates to you that this is not going to end beautifully. I mean, I don't think Hazel's story is going to end okay, I think.
Yes, I think so.
I mean, she's talking to us through the stuff, so hopefully,
Yeah.
right? Fingers crossed.
I mean, she's talking right now through the book.
I agree. I think, like, honestly, this is one of those comics that's like you can rec it to almost anybody because it crosses so many genre lines. Like, tons of my only romance reading friends read Saga. Like, it's like I tweeted it and like a bunch of people were like, "Yeah, Saga," and I'm like, "Yeah, I love Saga too." Like, Come on, y'all. We all love it.
Mhm.
Like, but it deserves the accolades because it does tell a story in probably one of the most innovative ways in comics in recent years, to an extent. Like when it came out, it was very different
It
from
was.
everything else out there.
It was.
Maybe less so now, but
Less so
Mhm.
now. Yeah, definitely
in the
less so now.
moment, I feel like that comic was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely have a friend that does not read, and the only thing I could get him to read was Saga.
Mhm.
Like he would borrow the comics and go home and read them and bring them back and like take multiple volumes at a time. And it's like the only thing I was ever actually able to get him to read. So
It does have universal appeal,
Yeah.
which explains why probably Saga has had universal appeal across BookTube, because you can't get BookTube to pick up a comic worth anything. I love y'all, but dang. But Saga though, when Saga hit the ground running, even on BookTube, Saga was the thing to read. It was the comic series for everyone to pick up because it does have so much universal appeal to it. So, I mean, to be honest with you, it recommends itself. Saga sells itself. You don't really have to say much about it. It will sell itself. You give the first volume to someone, I promise you, they're gonna want to pick up the rest.
It helps. It's in like Hoopla and all the library systems have it. So it's so popular.
Everywhere. It is
That
everywhere.
helps.
And you know what? One of my library systems that I belong to when I went in, and I was looking for another comic, and they had Saga with young adult, and I was like, oh, I'm not sure that this is where this goes.
it says mature on the back of the book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
definitely not
no.
Yeah.
And I was like, should I bring it to their attention, because I'm not sure that you want this here. But yeah, it's there for right now.
Yeah, Saga. I mentioned something like this when we were doing the banned books week, because Saga was on the banned books list of like the top 100 for the last, like, I think it was like 2010 to 2019 or something like that. And it's because like the reasons were like too mature for audience age. And I'm like, well, that's probably people putting it in the wrong area, because it says mature. Page 3 is like, or page 1, basically they're giving birth. It's mature. Like,
yeah.
You can't
like
expect
5
teenagers
pages
to read
later, they're
this.
boning. Like,
I'm like, by yeah, it's. I mean, there's so much in there that people should know better. But
And then
go ahead, Erica.
in volume 1, I think it's when he gets to Sextillion, the ladies, all the legs.
Oh, it was just like legs and face.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, this is.
I did not like one moment of that.
Then you never need to read, because I was about to say the only comics that I know that match, like humor-wise, but sex and humor, the only ones that I know that match it, which is not for the faint of heart, Sex Criminals, Sex Criminals, and Money Shot. Money Shot is like Sextillion all the time. And when I read it last year for the first time, I used to tell people, if you're going to Google what Money Shot is, do it in the privacy of your own space, not around people. And I'm not responsible for what you see or what you find. But yeah, Money Shot is like that too, where it's like Sextillion, intergalactical, trying to get the money shot to fund their science project.
I remember you talking about Money Shot in a video, and I'm like, yeah, probably not my book.
I don't think that'd be up your alley. Yeah, Chelsea, I don't know.
I need to get that one.
Yeah, Money Shot is good though. I have to read the second volume. It is chef's kiss. I love Money Shot.
Yeah, I'm not Googling that at all.
Yeah. No, seriously, y'all, don't Google. If you do, that's on you. But I feel like Izzy right now. Like, I'm telling you, don't do it. But somebody in this audience is going to.
They're going to want to, yeah.
What a Money Shot is. And all I'm going to tell you is, if you're going to do that in the privacy of your own space.
Do it in a private Google search, y'all. Don't just do it in your one that everyone will see.
Yeah, like, just don't do it.
Yeah, I feel like Sex Criminals is like more humorous than Saga gets.
Yeah. Money Shot is too. it's definitely that it's raunchy, but it's humor to it. So, but yeah, if you didn't like Sextillion, those are two comics that's a no-go.
Yeah.
The reason why I didn't like the legs thing, because I was thinking about the holes. And I was like, what if people get excited and get into a nostril and like really getting in it? And I'm like,
When
a
it's
nostril?
clean out, I guess.
We need to
Like
get you on some
not
Monster
literally
Romance.
cutting off the breathing. I don't know.
Some tentacle stuff.
It didn't make sense. I didn't like it.
I mean, there's a tentacle book she could read.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Yeah. But you're willing to read the mermaid book though, right?
Yes.
All right, we'll start you there. We'll start on the mermaid book. Okay, so volume 2. What would you rate volume 2?
I think I'm the same, like a 4.5.
I was gonna say I gave it a 5, but I don't like volume 2 as much because I feel like it's a much slower pace. We're getting a lot more backstory.
Yeah.
I still have it as a 5 on Goodreads, but it's probably more like a 4.5 because I still like it, but it's a completely different like feel.
I'm the opposite. I needed that slowing.
Okay.
So it was. I think that was. I would have to think on the rating, but more than a 4.2 for sure.
Okay.
I would say a 4.5 for me. I liked the slower pace. I liked the backstory.
Yes. Yeah.
I liked getting that information.
Yeah.
And slowing it down for me so I could process what was going on. I didn't like that the babysitter was banished, though, even though that happened.
Oh, we didn't even talk about the babysitter.
Yeah,
Love Isabel.
Who's Isabel? We didn't even talk about the babysitter.
I still don't trust her. She is snake in the grass.
You talk about the babysitter?
The babysitter, Isabel?
She seems nice, but then she seems like she got.
I have to defend my name. And I say that everything she sees.
I feel like she got some tricks up her sleeve, and
You
that's
know
just
what?
how I feel.
And when she first
Feel
came
like
into
she
the scene of volume 1, obviously, I was like, okay, she's a ghost, and she's half a ghost. See her entrails, and she is going to play them. Like, I really felt that. And
Interesting.
then,
I loved Isabel right away.
Yeah,
I did too.
I liked her,
Same.
but I really felt a little sketchy. Felt that she was a bit sketchy. And then, like, I was like, oh, I guess she's on the up and up. But I did like her character, but I was just like, she's
No, I find that interesting.
Yeah.
Because like I never felt any sort of like she's gonna screw them over or anything like that.
I didn't
like,
either.
I just like she's an innocent kid who got bombed on her planet because the war got
And
taken
like,
there. Like I love her. I feel
here.
bad for her. Take her with you.
Yeah, and I guess that's, I was like, okay, she's a ghost. She got bombed, and I kind of felt like
she's angry about it.
Yeah, she was like putting on this air, and then at the moment that she felt was right, she was going to strike.
The moment she said, I need to be tied to another human and implied Hazel,
Yeah,
I said, I'm out.
And that's
the
what
moment
really,
I was out. Innocent or not. Half body or not.
Yeah.
You're rolling around here with your intestines hanging out. And you want me to feel bad?
But you get a free babysitter.
I ain't trust her. I think she was trying to be cool with her to be like, trust me.
Yeah.
So I can come into you, obliterate your soul, and then now I'm the new Hazel. Like, what?
I don't think anything bad happens in any of the 8 volumes I've read with her.
I think that too, there's a certain level of distrust, which says a lot about Brian K. Vaughan's writing, that he's creating this relationship between you, Alana, and Marco and Hazel that you don't know is even forming, that you are inevitably trying to protect them from
Yes.
everyone around them because
Yeah.
you know that they're in so much danger. So your instinct is like, don't trust them. You already have enough people who are trying to screw you over. Don't, and I get that feeling. I understand it. I think because I've read it before and I liked Isabel as a character, that I just never, I felt a lot for her because I felt like she was that example once again of a kid, tragedy, war, a lot of things that were happening to kids, namely in Afghanistan. I think that there was a lot of paralleling going on there. So I never got that awkward feeling about Isabel, to be honest with you. But I can see where you would get it from if now you had this level of caring for those three characters and that family that you're like, I don't trust nobody. That means that y'all don't need to trust anybody either because everybody's trying to hurt y'all. So that says a lot about him as a creator.
Well, I definitely have felt that with other characters that they do bring in and everything like that. And I think part of her being a kid in the first volume is why, like, even my first time reading it, I was just like, I like her. Like, I don't think I ever felt distrustful of her, but I definitely have felt it with other characters that I know are coming and, like, whenever they meet people.
Yeah.
So,
don't forget, kids can be really nasty.
Oh, no, they can. But up until that point, at least so far, there hasn't really been anything of, like, oh, that's a sneaky kid who's working for the other side. At least from what I remember.
We meet in, like, in a few volumes from now that I, like, immediately was like, no. So,
well, I remember, I don't actually remember where we're going at all, except for, like, volume 2 ended on a cliffhanger. They all end on a cliffhanger, which is why I want multiple volumes. And, like, I remember a little bit of, like, probably what's going to happen in volume 3. But besides that, like, I have no idea where we're going because it's been so long. So,
what y'all think of Gwendolyn?
I feel like that she's gonna do some real I'm just ready for a big scene of a fight between her and the lady, Alana. I'm ready. And I'm ready. I'm just ready for that because I feel like Gwendolyn really misses her rings and she gonna do what she has to do to get them back. So somebody's finger is gonna get cut off. I feel it. I don't know, but I feel that.
Did y'all feel bad for Gwendolyn at any point?
No. I'm very mixed on Gwendolyn because I feel bad about what had happened in the past. But the way she's currently handling it, I can't really, like, approve of her for what she's currently doing, like how she's doing it.
Yeah.
So, like, I've always been conflicted about her, and I felt it again this time.
Yeah, same. I feel similarly. Like, I'm very conflicted on her. Man, her character design is so cool, though. She looks so cool.
Her character design is bad. Oh,
and her cover, when we eventually get to that volume with her cover, it's so gorgeous.
Yeah, she's gorgeous. She's beautiful.
But yeah, she gives me that, like, I don't trust you as far as I can throw you vibe. But, like, also I think that if, like, she's on your side, you're
good.
You're good to go, you know? So
Gwendolyn for me is the epitome of hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she is the walking, talking epitome of that. And that's also why I feel so conflicted. Because I think in the first 2 volumes it is a story has 2 sides type of feel. Because you have Marco saying, like, you know, I did it, like we were typical man. You know, that was all dead before you came along, and you know, we were growing in our separate ways. Like, you know, Marco definitely says that, but the reason why I feel a little hesitation with that is that what's the little girl's name from Tang? Did we get her name?
I don't think we have her name yet.
We don't have her name yet.
She's just called Sex something. Is it
Slave? But not
slave girl.
Little girl.
Yeah.
We're gonna.
I do feel like there was a scene when she was talking about how Gwendolyn's necklace was calling to the rings. There was a way that Fiona had drawn Gwendolyn kind of gazing down at her fingers, and I was like, yeah, this girl done been hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, and that's the part that makes me feel so conflicted about her, is because she's really not she's not handling it well. But then I think about myself as a woman that's been hurt before, and I'm like, have I done some real wild stuff? I have, so I get it. And there is like this, and that's why I say like Fiona Staples needs her credit too, because literally in that one panel where she drew her, you can literally see the pain in the way that Fiona kind of shapes her body. And I was like, yeah, she's not processing her pain correctly, but she is in pain.
No,
Like
yeah, you can
whatever
see
happened between her and Marco, you can see that cut her deeply.
Mhm.
And that's not how she wanted, regardless if Marco was saying like, because it's almost like he insinuated, oh, like, she's spoiled. She was very pro-war because that's just how her family was. But she never had to serve on the front lines. And, I'm sitting here making progress and she was still stuck in her ways. But I don't think she perceived it as such. And I almost feel like there was a level of abandonment that kind of happened there. And maybe she doesn't fully understand why that relationship didn't work out the way that she wanted to work out. And Marco hurt her feelings. And now it's like, you not only left me, you went and slept with someone from the planet that we're battling with, and then you had the nerve to have a child. When I tell you a woman scorn, shoot, I don't know if I don't 100% blame her.
No, yeah, he was like, oh yeah, we were growing apart before I even left for the war. And I bet he never even had one single conversation with her about feelings or anything. So she thought everything was perfectly fine. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a good point.
We don't claim her.
Not Isabel was imprinting on Hazel. Yeah, we don't claim Miss Meyer.
We don't claim Twilight Isabel. She's not part of the group. She's not allowed.
What else happened in volume 2? What did y'all think of Marco's backstory and his parents exposing him to war that young?
Oh, that was terrible. It's a reality, unfortunately, but terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably the only way they can keep the war going besides all those other planets. Because like they still have people that are willing to go from like the original planets that were warring. Like him and Alana were still in the war, even though they're like so far away from their own planets. So at least there on Reef, that's probably one of the ways they get people like to feel what everybody else is feeling and without actually having to experience it first.
And
it's like indoctrination.
Yeah, and they are, Alana and Marco, they are also very far removed from the initial beginnings of the war. And so what the point that you made about going to the site and seeing it is definitely an indoctrination, saying that, okay, we need to keep this going because of, it's like, when I was reading it at that part, I was like, this is just like the Hatfields and McCoys. Does anybody really know why they started?
Do we even get a reason as to why it starts, or we also left?
I don't remember.
I don't remember us getting a reason either. Do we get a reason?
I don't
for this book so far. I don't think we have anything specific. Maybe later, but not in my memory.
So I mean,
you got Shay in the chat.
Yeah, Shay's here.
Hey, Shay. So I don't know. I thought it was definitely a bad thing to do, but I understood why they did it, and it was simply because we have to indoctrinate him in order for the next generation to go into battle.
That's another underlying message.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just felt like brainwashing-esque, just like we have to indoctrinate you and pull you in.
What do you feel like the death of Marco's father was too sudden?
I was sad he didn't get to tell anybody besides Alana. But
Mhm.
I don't know. It sort of felt like, especially with the way that Hazel talks about it, like whenever she's narrating things, like I have so many quotes that I had to like write down because like they were so good. And so I don't know, I felt like it sort of fit. Then again, this is my second time reading it. I don't remember what I felt the first time, but I was very sad that like more of his family, like he didn't tell them. Like he was just like, oh, I know I only have 1 month left, but like I'm not gonna mention it because I want to live my life, you know, without them worrying about me, which is great. But then
I was
he
a
has to
little
save the
hurt.
ship.
You were hurt by it, Brie?
Yeah, I was a little hurt by his death because in the moment of him dying, and I get it was a family thing and they've been the Three Musketeers for all this time, but he kind of shoved Alana to the side, and that just a sad moment when she was trying to comfort him, and then they were like, no, it was kind of like, this is between only us, and you can't be a part of this.
It did feel like that a little, yeah.
Which also it was a loss for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was liking him. They were getting along.
Yeah. They were starting to bond. That scene was actually a little hard for me. Ashley and Brie, you know why.
Yeah.
So that was a little hard for me. And to process it, I kind of had to step away from it in order to process it. So I understood why he didn't want to tell his family that he had a limited amount of time. But at the same time, I was like, you need to tell them, because that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to treat you any differently. It's just a matter of, it would be nice for them to know. So that's just kind of how I felt on that.
Yeah.
I was torn because I understood like he didn't want the pressure. I feel like, if that makes sense, of everyone like being all over him, I guess, in that way, if that makes sense, like, and grieving, and like maybe he just wanted to live life to an extent with everyone and then go on. But they still deserve to know at the same time, like,
robbing the living of that grief.
Yeah.
But like, I also understand him not wanting to witness their grief, if that makes sense. Like, I can kind of see both sides of it in a weird way. But yeah, it was weird. I wish he had more time in the books, but I do, like, having read further on, I feel like it does serve the story.
Okay. Yeah, I can't remember how that ends up being full circle, but I know, like you, Brie, the scene in which Isabel kind of had to tell Alana, you know, don't take it personally, like they just need their time. I think that was a misstep because unfortunately they had not realized that that Alana had been privy to the fact that she knew that he was ill, and that they had in such a short time built a relationship, and that he was trying to connect with both Hazel and Alana. So I think that she wasn't allowed to grieve the way that she needed to grieve, because Marco and his mother, they had each other, but Alana had no one, because no one knew that she had built that relationship, or that she was aware that he was sick from the get-go. So I think that part of it did kind of hurt my feelings a little bit, because I was like, dang, that's kind of like a burden now that Alana's going to have to carry. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember how that's all going to come full circle, but just in that moment, I was like, that's a heavy burden to have to carry by yourself. And you can't share in that grief because of the nature of the situation itself. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of rough. Let's talk about like Prince Four's kind of like breakdown when he gets to I forget the author's name, if y'all can remember it.
All I know is Oswald.
Heist.
Was his last name Heist? I feel like his last name was Heist.
Oswald Heist.
Or Height.
I can't remember. I can't remember the author's name. I just know he
Yeah.
had that big behind eyeball in the middle of
Yeah.
that's about
Cyclops.
Yeah, he was a Cyclops. Yeah, that's all I can't remember
And it
his
was
name.
rather huge.
It was rather huge.
It
But
was,
And
were
we
y'all-
met the cute seal.
Yes.
yeah.
Gus.
Gus, yes.
They didn't say his name yet, but I love Gus.
Yeah.
So.
I couldn't remember his name. I was like, I know we get it.
I have a
later.
pop of him. Well, actually, I have a pop of like all of them.
Because he ends up playing a bigger role than just that, correct?
He comes in more later. I don't remember exactly how, but I remember liking him a lot.
Yeah, he comes in a little bit later, I feel like. Were y'all surprised by 4's breakdown at all? When he basically told the author, go ahead, I have a short circuit in my neck. And if you aim
No,
just
because
right,
I feel like he is so unhinged. And he has been unhinged since volume 1 to an extent. Like,
yeah.
he didn't even care that his wife was pregnant, kind of, it felt like. Like, he was kind of like, okay, we'll see if I can get back there.
I felt like he was excited about it, but he is not allowed to go back. His father told him he is not allowed to go back and do any of this. And I think somebody else even threatens his wife
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because of the
that one
bounty
guy.
and stuff like that.
Not
So, like,
That one guy.
in my opinion, I mean, and I could just, this is just me. I do think that's like the one thing he cares about is his wife and the baby.
Probably.
His wife and his kid.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
like
you're
the
probably
only
not
thing.
wrong. I just think he's kind of unhinged in general.
No, he is.
Oh, he is. No,
No, I was just like,
he's
it's
a
not
nut.
surprising for him to be like, it's right here. Just do it. Handle it for me. Thank you.
Yeah. No, he's definitely.
Yeah, I don't think I was expecting that exactly, even this time, because I didn't remember much, but they do definitely go into what happened on the battlefield, why he has like the PTSD stuff. And so I guess it wasn't like as surprising once the author started talking about how his son died.
Mhm.
And so it was almost like it went together. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they both were suffering from like the same thing.
I felt like he was unhinged too. I picked up on an issue just when that graphic popped up on his screen when he was having sex with his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, oh, like he's struggling. But I did not.
Yeah.
I think he did not realize how bad his PTSD was until this may be a stretch. I felt like he was jealous of the author's son. His reaction to me read very much when he explained, like, you know, my son didn't die in the battle. He came home and he hung himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he completely freaked out, like he had the easy way out because he could just come home and hang himself. And that's what I want to do. But because I am royalty and I have these responsibilities, I can't cop out like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be a disgrace to my family if I just killed myself. And so when he told the author, go ahead, if you know, I got a circuit that's, you know, or whatever, that's in my neck, and if you aim just right, you'll completely wipe me out. When he said that, it shocked me, but it didn't shock me at the same time.
That's how I felt.
Yeah, it shocked me, but I was like, you know, he's jealous of the fact that he can't just kill himself and it be done with because his PTSD was that bad. It really is just that bad. And I don't like him as a character. I don't really have a lot of empathy for him. I think he's just a nasty, regardless of the PTSD, I think he's just a nasty character. But once again, I think Brian K. Vaughan is showing even the nastiest of characters are casualties of this war that's going on. Even if you don't like them, they're being impacted in such negative ways by this war when they want nothing to do with it. They want absolutely nothing to do with it. So I think it just, once again, Brian K. Vaughan seeping in that spice, that little bit of commentary that you would not expect to get out of a comic book.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to go.
Bye, Chelsea.
Gotta put
Thank
it to
you
your
for
Bye.
listening. I'll share the next live show date and times if you want to do it again.
Oh, of course. I had a great time.
All right. Thanks for joining
Okay.
us.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, guys.
Fun at bedtime. Bye.
Yes.
The amount of social commentary
Mm-hmm.
in here,
Mhm.
in just these 2 volumes,
Mhm.
is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I wouldn't expect that amount in 144 pages.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's something social commentary related
Mm-hmm.
in at least every issue. Am I saying that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So something to ponder, something to chew on, think
Mhm.
about in every issue.
It is. It is definitely something, and I think that's also what makes Saga so unique. Not saying that because I mean, I think that this is the reason why I wish that more people did read comics and graphic novels and manga, because not only are you getting the depth and commentary, but the addition of art just takes it to a different level. And people often assume that comics are just frivolous with superheroes and, just not really great storylines. But even one that I had read last year, Thor, God of Thunder, issue number 6. And that was all about the contrast between those who believe in gods and atheists in a single issue. And you would never have thought in a million years that that single issue would show you the downfall of a character's faith in a god being to becoming an atheist because of the circumstances that he had been through. And I think Saga does very similar things in that you think that it's like this surface level story about 2 characters in love, having a kid,
Galactic.
planetary type of stuff. I'm gonna say almost interspecies, because I don't even think they're the same species.
There you
But
are.
like, but like you think it's that, but then when you keep reading it and reading it, you're like, the artwork and the story together is so much more. There's a lot that they say in this entire series. And I feel like that often gets overlooked because people, when they go into comics, that's not what they're expecting. And then when you kind of rework your brain to kind of realize that you can get the same depth, the same commentary, the same just literary value in a comic book graphic novel or a volume of manga that you can get in a prose novel, I think it changes the game. It really does. It changes the game a lot.
Well, and I don't think the story honestly would be as impactful in a just book format, like just prose.
Yeah.
I think the art, I mean, Fiona Staples is stunning. All of her work is just stunning. I mean, she's wildly talented, and it truly does carry the series in a way that if it was just the story written out, it would not deliver in the same way.
It wouldn't. And don't get me wrong, there are some frivolous comics out there. Just like there's just books that, are kind of like, you're in betweens and stuff like that. But I think
it's still valid reading, right?
That's still, it's still valid reading. I think that comics get such a bad reputation.
They do.
I think all like graphic art based books get, whether that's comics, graphic novels, or manga, I think that a lot of times they do get a bad rep.
But actually, like, I mean, if people read them, actually, they would see how much that, like, it brings the story together.
It does.
I mean, I love it.
I dated a guy, and he was like, he loved reading classics or whatever. And he was like, I don't understand why people read graphic novels and comics, and because that's not real reading. And I'm like, yeah, it kind of is.
It kind of is.
Like, that's who? You and your one opinion, your one shitty opinion?
It kind of is.
So we got into an argument about it, but we broke up. So
I argued with somebody about audiobooks in a work environment because they tried to tell me that I wasn't reading as many books as I said I was because a lot of it was audio. And I said, "You want to go outside?" We go outside. We handle this because let me tell you, you sound so shitty right now. It was about as bad as Monday nights.
Bethany, if I want to do more, I need to go back to doing more comic related stuff on my channel. That's my area. That's what I love. I'm glad we're motivating you to continue. It's a good series.
Yeah, it is.
It's a really, really good series. I think that it gets better, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do when issue 55 drops, because their world is their arena. Like, they could do anything, and with, Vaughn doing the writing.
Huh? I thought you guys said there's only until volume 9.
It was on hiatus, and the reason why we're doing the reread right now is because it's coming off of hiatus in January.
And then it's just starting in a random 55?
It's not a random 55. It's continuing. So the last issue in volume 9 was 54.
Oh, I'm confused.
Why are you confused?
Didn't we read? So one volume has how many in there?
4 or 5 issues.
So each chapter was an issue.
Each chapter was an issue.
Ah!
Click.
Okay.
There you go. You got it.
Okay.
You got it. You got it.
I was like, okay, now this ain't making sense. How do we jump from 9 to 55?
Nah.
No.
Yeah,
volume. So the next bind-up volume, will be 10, with 55 to whatever.
It makes sense now.
Makes sense.
It's coming together.
Okay.
It's complicated.
So they're just releasing issue 55.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. They're just, because what they'll do is, depending upon how Image wants to publish it, typically issues only come out once a month. Sometimes you'll find a special series, like I think that Marvel is doing, I can't remember if it's Spider-Man or something else. It might be Spider-Man. I can't remember off the top of my head. They're doing an issue a week, which is really, really intense for a creative team to push out an issue in a week. It's a lot of art design. I mean, we're not even talking about who's doing the fonts, the pencil, the inking. It's a lot of work that goes into a single issue. So issues typically only do come out once a month. So it'll be a while before 4 or 5 issues are going to be combined to become volume 10. You probably won't see volume 10. I'm thinking if they do month by month, probably January, February, March, April, May, you probably will see volume 10 anywhere between July, September of next year. If you don't follow issue by issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my guess too.
Yeah. That's probably the time frame that we're working with.
Books in Motion, I'm with you. 100%.
I think that, I mean, it's solely up to you, because eventually they're going to come out with another hardcover. It's just going to take some time before the hardcover comes out. You probably won't see the hardcover. Jeez, man, you may not see another hardcover 2023, 2024. Depending upon how many more volumes they have that are going to come out. So,
do y'all expect it to? Do y'all expect Saga to end?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's going to end. It's not. the thing about working with indies is that it's not like Marvel, where Marvel and DC, because Marvel and DC don't add new characters like that. Because you have readers who've been reading these comics. I mean, DC started in like the 30s. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You don't have, let's put it this way. That's why when new characters are introduced, the price value of those issues go up, because you don't have a lot of that happen all the time, because old readers are not really receptive to new characters. They're very traditional. They like the characters that they've been working with. They just like different takes and evolution of those characters. Um, but with a lot of indies, it's you got to stop, because eventually Fiona and Brian are going to want to do different projects. I'm sure that Brian
Yeah.
has stuff up his sleeve that he wants to do. It's not, and even writers who write for Marvel and DC, like James Tynion, who I really want to start a comic book club.
You sure?
Everybody has book clubs, but I really want to start a comic book club. James Tynion is probably one of my favorite writers in the game right now. He's extremely versatile, and he puts it down with whatever he writes. He just left DC, and he was writing DC's. He was just doing the run of Batman. He did an independent Joker, which has never been done the way that he's done it, which is probably one of my favorite comics now of all time. No one wants to stay with a character or a story for that long. You don't want to be just known for that. You want to be able to spread your wings, and pick up different creative projects the same way a writer would, like a writer of prose would. I should say it that way.
So when is book club coming out?
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I gotta think. The only thing about that is that it's different from a book club, because a book club, you could pick up a book and be one and done. You know what I'm saying? Or you could read a series, and it just, the format would have to be a little different, because I would want to pick series that are completed or near completion. I would want to pick series that have the most accessibility, because comics are not cheap. I would want to dabble in DC and Marvel, but I'd have to be very careful about what I pick, because it'd have to be a lot of like back end explanation that I don't know if I would have time to do. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would love to do a group read of Something is Killing the Children. That's a badass comic. But James Tynion had his hands all up and down that. And it's good. It's one of the best that Image has put out in the past couple years.
I think it would be fun to do some like just first runs, like 1 through 5s of some characters too.
Yeah. I think so too. Especially with, that's a good idea, Izzy. Especially with like DC just doing their Infinite Frontier stuff. If you're new to DC, Infinite Frontier now is the place to start, because everyone got a reboot, essentially.
Because you could do like Miss Marvel, like 1 through 5.
Oh yeah,
like,
Miss Marvel by Kamala Khan. That's a good one to do. I think that Miles Morales even has some areas that are pretty decent to start in, because they're trying to bring in younger readers. Fables is long, but it's finished.
I like Fables.
Wicked and Divine.
That's what I read of it. Wicked and Divine.
Finished. Yeah. It's some really good. It's some good places to start.
Lock and Key is really good.
Lock and Key is really good. Joe Hill did his thing with Lock and Key.
Lock and Key. I do.
You said you don't, or you do?
Oh, I got too excited about that. I said I do.
Oh yeah. Lock and Key. But Gabriel Rodriguez handled the artwork on that and made it, once again, there's a lot of artists out there that bring the writers' words to fruition.
Is Lock and Key DC?
No, Lock and Key is Dark Horse.
Yeah, Dark Horse. That's an Image, but no, it's Dark Horse.
Oh, I was
about to say Image too. I was like, yeah, I think it's Dark Horse.
It's Dark Horse, yeah.
We have a Dark Horse here. I thought I saw it. It's Ghost. I got a couple of these. Ghost.
I've never read that one.
So
that's another thing. There's so many comics out there that like just they'll have never heard of.
Yeah.
Because of how they come out, it's just not the same. Like, I mean, there's tons of books we haven't heard of too. Don't get me wrong, but it feels even more infinite sometimes.
Yeah, I just read the first 3. I don't know what it's about.
Could you set instead of blocking me? No.
Paper Girls is a good one, Bethany. Paper Girls is finished, and I loved. And I'm not a big sci-fi person, but Paper Girls was good, especially.
I had the same issue with that one as I had with Saga and the slurs, though.
Yes.
Like I was just like, Brian, can you stop?
The only pass, and it's not a pass. It takes place in the 80s.
I know. I just need him to come to Heroes Con so I can be like, "Hi, sir. I love your books. Can you stop with the slurs?"
Yeah. That one.
Is he still doing slurs in 2021?
Nah, he's not.
No.
Paper Girls is rougher around the edges too because of the time period.
Mm-hmm.
It does take place in the 80s. So you're going to see some things that are true to the 80s that do not, society-wise, do not hold up in 2021.
Yeah.
But that's the thing about comics, and that's, I mean, it's not that you accept it, but it's the reality of reading comics, especially the older you go. You kind of have to come to grips with the fact that comics, the evolution of comics really is just now starting to happen. The locking down on the importance of diverse characters and diverse narratives is just now making sense to the comic book industry. So they're far behind. They're trying.
They're so behind. It's wild.
But they're behind. Like James Tynion, it's helping when you have people like James Tynion, who's openly bisexual. You know, making these comics. You have Grant Morrison, who's non-binary. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's changing, but it's slow as hell. It really, because of the nature of the industry itself, it is so hard for writers and artists of color, different gender identities, sexual orientation. Like, it has been hellacious for them to break into the industry. And now they're starting to break in, and you're starting to see things change a lot. But yeah. Anybody have any questions?
Just, it's not a question, but Brandy said earlier I think it's right below Books in Motion. She was looking for issue 55, but she can't find it.
I posted 2 links.
Did they not show up
at all?
I don't know if they didn't. Okay, Things from Another World, tfaw.com has it, and then Midtown Comics has it. If you search Saga Volume 55 on Google, you should be able to pull those 2 up. But yeah, I didn't know if it would post the links or not, but and Comixology, y'all, like, it's okay to read it digitally and then buy the bind-ups.
Yeah, you can read it digitally. I honestly, unless you're a hardcore, and I don't mean this, I mean, it's your money, you do what you want. Unless you're a hardcore collector, it may not be worth it for you to buy issue by issue, to be honest. Because when hardcore collecting and buying issue by issue is taxing.
Yeah, I mean, for most people, I recommend reading digitally or through your library as much as possible with comics, just because it's not
a cheap hobby.
It's heavy on the wallet.
Heavy, super heavy.
You will feel it.
It is super
and
heavy.
You will be like, where did all my money go? Oh, it went to comics.
I haven't been, my wrap-ups, you know, like in the earlier part of this year were heavy with like single issues, but I had to slow down. I had to slow down because I had like 18 titles on my pull list, and if you're a comic book collector, like, that's ridiculous.
You sound like me when I used to get comics all the time. So there's a reason I don't buy physical comics anymore.
Yeah, like 18 18 titles on a pull list is.
What does that mean?
So that means that I was following 18 different series. So when you go to the comic book store, at least with my comic shop, they have a piece of paper that you fill out. It's your folder. It goes on your folder, and they have it divided up by Marvel, DC, and indie. Anybody that's not Marvel or DC is considered indie. And you write down the title of the series that you want to follow. So when it gets released, because comic book shops run out of certain titles, people go in there and you have scalpers who literally buy tons of them and resell them for higher prices. So when you have a pull list, it guarantees you a copy of that issue. The problem with that is that when you have that many titles on your pull list, yeah, it may seem like, oh yeah, one issue only costs $3.99. But honestly, Marvel and DC started taxing the F out of people. Like a single issue of Joker that James Tynion was doing was costing me like $5.99 an issue. And it doesn't seem like a lot until I'm paying for 12 or 13 other issues at the same time. So my pull list was out of control. And then I would see stuff on new releases that I hadn't put on my pull list. And I'm like, oh, this looks good. Oh, this looks good. Oh, this looks good. And then I'd walk out having dropped like $100 on comic books.
Yep. And then you have bricks. I can't even move our long boxes. My partner has to.
Yeah.
I'm like, we've got them all stacked like against a wall in this big storage closet, and I'm like, I can't do shit with these. Like, I can't even pick them up because we got the big ones, and they're all full. It's bad.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's a commitment. I'm just here for the Libby. Libby got all the sagas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's harder when it's harder depending upon the series. Like Marvel is not gracious with their single issue releases. Neither is DC when it comes to Hoopla. Hoopla cannot get rights to that stuff. They literally will get this stuff after it's been, made into a trade. But you're not going to get single issues of DC. And the reason why they don't do that with Hoopla is because DC and Marvel both have their own platforms. So if you want single issues, if you want to read, like, for example, Something is Killing the Children went on hiatus. They stopped at volume 3. It came back, and you can read the single issues of it. So you could read up to volume 3, and then you could read the single issues on Hoopla. But the reason why Hoopla is able to get access to it is because it's indie. With DC and Marvel, because they have their own platforms, ain't no way. They're not going to get you. You're not going to get single issues of Marvel and DC on Hoopla or any library app like that until it's been published as a trade, because DC and Marvel want to make their money out of it first. So, I mean, it makes sense, but it kind of sucks.
It still sucks.
Yeah.
Well, because even if you're on Marvel Unlimited, you're not getting brand new issues.
No, you're not getting brand new issues.
Getting old
6 months. You got to wait 6 months for an issue. So that was a hiccup too, is that, like, unless it's digital first with DC, because I also have DC's app. If it's digital first, I can read the whole series before it even comes out as single issues on the market. But like your popular series and stuff, you're not going to get that. Like they create a system where you literally are going to pay or you're going to wait. And in the comic book world, it sucks to wait because everybody's talking about it. And when you get into a room full of comic heads and you can't keep up, it's aggravating.
And digital comics are also cheaper. Like a lot of times you get issues for $2 or less.
Yeah, I found some for like 99 cents. Especially if it's a good sale. Yeah.
Man, I need to catch these sales, obviously.
If you download Comixology,
I will tag you.
Cuts you. Yeah, Comixology cuts you off the top for digital issues. But I mean,
Comixology.
Yeah, if you go to Comixology and you click on their new releases, you get you get comics because of Comixology itself, but then you also get a price cut on new stuff. Yeah.
I literally just pre-ordered my digital issue 55 from Comixology. So
yeah,
I
may pre-order a physical. just because
I'm probably going to also.
I think I'm gonna pre-order physical.
I gotta do that later. I don't remember my login. I was like, I'm not gonna do that on live. Trying to figure out my login.
I think somebody earlier had asked. They did have the Black Panther comics on there. For a lot of people, got all the Black Panther comics for free.
Yeah, I have all of those.
Yeah. Somebody asked for Rex.
I definitely got all the Black Panther comics for free.
Izzy, you have Rex?
Let me open my Goodreads. It's hard to rack like without knowing exactly what somebody wants, I guess, too, though.
It is hard.
It's like romance books, right? Like I can't just get. I mean, I have a couple authors I feel like I can give people as entry points, and usually it's a hit. But there's comics is really hard to do that with, in my opinion. I know somebody asked for manga Rex. I know that I have a video. I know Shay from Shay Geeks Out has a video on entry manga Rex, and I think Tamika from Library of Films also. I think we all three collabed on that one. I cannot remember.
I do have comic book recommendations for beginners as well on my channel. So if you're just starting out, I do have that content on my channel somewhere.
I try to read the thriller or suspense manga. That's something for that, because those are good.
Blood on the Tracks is a really good psychological thrillery manga situation. I don't know how to describe that.
Don't say anything about it. I just checked out all the first 3 volumes because of you and Tamika.
You're gonna scream at one point because I every time I put down about it, I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Every time.
I just finished all of the Echo because of you. I was just at home books at Ashley, and I just went volume 1, 2.
Okay, you read all the. I think I only read volume 1 of Echo.
I went through them all.
It's a good entry comic, kind of. You kind of just got to go along for the ride. It's a little wonky, a little weird, but it's an interesting one. It'll pull you through the story. Lock and Key. I feel like that one pulls you through the story.
Pretty
well as a beginner.
It's short too. It's only 6 volumes. That's not bad for a comic book series.
No.
It has a lot of spin-off, like one-shot stuff, but it's not necessary to read this unless you're hardcore. You don't have to read that. But yeah,
I've not even read that.
I haven't read a lot of the one-shot stuff either. I own some of the stuff, but I haven't read it. I will say that if you've seen the Netflix adaptation, the comic book series is much darker. I think that Netflix really made the Lock and Key series very kid-friendly, and the comics are far from it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, the comics are not dark. They're not kid-friendly.
I read Lock and Key volume 1 and 2, but I seriously forgot it, so I don't.
Oh, it's dark. It is very dark.
I know if you like fantasy and you don't listen to the podcast, The Adventure Zone by the McElroy brothers, they do a podcast of it. They have bind-ups that come out of their it's a D&D adventure campaign. They're really funny and fun. And that's definitely what I could see, like people that are new wanting.
Giant Days. Giant Days is very slice of life. Honestly, people who like Giant Days usually like Lumberjanes. Lumberjanes is kind of like that same thing, except Lumberjanes is a little bit, of course, on the younger end.
Yeah.
But it still is a solid series. Zodiac Star Force is another kind of like friendship based one that definitely has a Sailor Moon vibe to it, but I really do like Zodiac Star Force as well. That's
maybe Heartstopper, because that's kind of slice of life, but it's got a little bit of romance.
Heartstopper 2 is another good one as well. I think that would fit into that.
Heartstopper sounds so familiar.
It's really cute.
Yeah, Montrose.
That's the other comic that BookTube reads.
What?
Heartstopper.
Oh,
what's that? What is it about? Is it romance-y?
Yeah, it's about 2 boys like discovering one of them kind of discovering his sexual identity a little bit, I would say. And they both play, is it rugby or soccer?
Rugby.
It's rugby, yeah, okay. So they both play rugby, and it's really cute, really great art. It's by Alice Oseman.
Oseman. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a webcomic as well, so you can read it for free.
That's how I read the first 2 volumes.
Same.
Monstrous is good. The artwork in Monstrous is beautiful. I have not continued with Monstrous, and I need to. But a lot of people on BookTube also who do not read a ton of comics have read Monstrous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They enjoy it. They really do enjoy it. I think BookTube does really do it as a community. It sticks to indie related stuff. So like,
yeah, I mean Fables is good too. Like I feel like that it's just long.
Fables is I wreck Fables, but I need to stop wrecking Fables because Fables is very interconnected and it's multiple series. You have Fables, you have
That's
Jack
true.
Fables, you have Cinderella, you have what's his name? Big B, who's the wolf. He has his own series. You have Ferris, which is part of the series. Then there's another spinoff. It's like 6 or 7 series tied into Fables. And Fables, something about Fables.
I dropped off before all of that.
Yeah. I definitely. It's something about it is jump starting again. I can't remember where or what or why or what's going on, but that's why I'm buying the compendiums of Fables. One, because they're going out of print super fast. Like the first one was gifted to me and it's already out of print.
Wow.
Yeah. And with compendiums, the thing about with any compendium is that they'll mess around and they'll do limited runs of a compendium. I mean, limited prints of a compendium. So they'll print X amount of copies and they won't reprint it.
I mean, to think about that too. Like that's such a different demand than bind ups and trades. Because just it's easier to sell a trade, I think, than a compendium.
It is, because compendiums get expensive.
They're expensive, yeah.
Yeah, they're super expensive. Check Please is good, and it's short. It's only two volumes. You have shorter series. You have standalones, which are graphic novels. I distinguish between graphic novels and comics, but some people don't. They use the term interchangeably. Whatever floats your boat at this point. But you have standalones like Bloom.
Oh, Bloom is so cute.
Is it the Prince and the Dressmaker, the Princess and Dress?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Really like that one too.
Yeah,
that one is cute.
You have some good standalones. Middle grade are usually pretty much. A lot of them are standalones. I think really honestly, like comics and graphic novels only get complicated when you start dealing with DC and Marvel. Yeah. That's when it gets completely out of control.
Well, that's where, like I said, I feel like you got to pick a character and then you can go, you can Google, like there are articles, like there's tons of articles on like where to start with certain characters.
Comic Book Herald is my go-to. Yes. Those are the guys I was doing the comic book podcast with for a little while. He is A1. I mean, literally anything that you want to know about any DC Marvel character, events, where to start, where to stop, what's going on. The fact that X-Men now is like the most complicated group of characters, I think, out of DC and Marvel to pick up on. X-Men has got to be the most challenging.
Yeah.
X-Men is the most like, it makes absolutely no sense. I'm
just following Black Panther. And then when I'm done, I'll look at another character.
Yeah, Black Panther is not super. I don't find his storyline itself to follow to be complicated, but he's interconnected with a lot of people. Like he's connected to Jessica Jones married. Who did I remember I had put this on Twitter once. People were like, what? Jessica Jones married what's his face? Luke Cage. And their child
You're right.
marries T'Challa and Storm's child. Because most people forget that T'Challa and Storm are together.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't know that until recently. I was like, damn, that's a spoiler.
Yeah, yeah. But see, that's the difficult thing too, is that like some of this stuff is it's no like, oh, don't no spoil it. It's just too much content out there now. Yeah, T'Challa and Storm they're a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite two mangas at this time, one of them is really hard for me to get and it's expensive, so I'm just waiting to see if maybe a library is gonna bring it up, but it hasn't happened. So one is Monster and the second one is Black Butler. I really like both.
Oh yeah, Monster is good, and so is Black Butler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't continued with Monster. Monster is a good psychological thriller.
It's so good. I'm looking for volume 3, but they want my coin. And I tried to look on the library website, nothing. So I'm wondering how I got the other two.
They may not have purchased them after that.
Yeah, that's
they
always
couldn't
the worst
get them
part.
through a vendor. That's what ends up happening.
And I do feel like once you start reading comics and pick up like I know certain artists I really, really like. So like anything they work on, I'll usually pick up a volume of to see if I like it.
Uh-huh.
Like oh my gosh, what was his name? Hold on. I have my list pulled up, and I'm like, what? Oh, there's like a She-Hulk that run that I really liked, and like I read it because an artist I liked was on it.
Was on it, yeah.
Yeah.
They are divorced. I'm saying like they got married. That they were interconnected to Jessica Cage. I mean to Jessica Jones and Luke Cage because of the fact that T'Challa and Storm were married and had a kid. Jessica Jones and Luke Cage got married and they had a kid, and the two of them ended up being. They got together, so that made them in-laws, which a lot of people didn't realize that Luke Cage and T'Challa are in-laws.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Your girl don't know who Luke Cage is.
She's new, Izzy. Don't do that.
He had a Netflix series. It was real good.
You're like, you're judging me, but I'll let it slide.
I'm not judging you. I'm just like surprised because again, Netflix series. Listen, when you're in it, you don't realize that people don't know things sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I went to see the new Venom movie and I was very confused by things, and my partner had to explain it to me
because
I
it's
didn't
Carnage.
Well, because I've never read any of the Venom or Carnage movies. Listen, I'm just convinced that it's a rom-com, and that's the world I need to live in personally. And until the comics deliver that, I'm out.
Listen, Venom. Okay, the reason why I want to see Venom 2 is because this year I started reading the Absolute Carnage comics, and that whole era of Carnage is so damn badass. It's oh my gosh, it's so good. The whole concept behind the fact that Miles Morales and them exist because of the guy. When I was talking about Thor God of Thunder issue number 6, there's a guy who makes a first appearance in that one issue, and he is responsible for creating the symbiote that gives Spider-Man that black suit, that Miles Morales also has that black suit. And then all of that crap ties together with this serial killer psychotic guy Carnage. It's oh my gosh, it's epic, but it's very convoluted. Yeah, that's the guy's name. It's very convoluted, and it's very like it's so much stuff. But the whole idea, because that's what the run that Marvel did this summer, which was King in Black, was all about the guy who created the symbiote coming to terrorize everybody because he felt some type of way, but not realizing that all this stuff is interconnected. That's the reason why these people have these black suits and they connect. That's why Venom is Venom, because of this. It's oh man, it's great, but it does take a lot of time and like reading up on like what issues to read, how to follow them, how these characters are interconnected, what artists or what writers have dropped off and who picked them up. It's crazy.
Okay, so I was watching and I stumbled on it like a couple of months ago. Black Lightning.
Yes.
And I was watching it, and I was like, this seems very comic book-ish.
It is.
And I looked it up, and yes, it is. And
It is.
have you? I'm assuming you've read it.
I've read what. Hold on, I'm going to show you it because I can't. It's going to be hard for me to kind of explain. Hold on. I think it's in here. Oh gosh. Oh, this is heavy. Oh, I didn't realize it's got that heavy. Jesus. Okay. So like Izzy, I need to have long boxes.
I think you muted yourself.
We
Yeah.
can't hear you.
I was like,
Sorry, y'all.
It's okay.
I think it's in here. I could be so wrong about this. This is why this is ridiculous, by the way. All of this is ridiculous.
Oh, don't worry. Mine are not organized. Well, they're somewhat organized, but not really.
These used to be organized, but I don't even think. Hold on. It's not the right stack.
We have things written on the side and we open them and we go, is this it? And then we dig through and see what we find. 50-50.
I don't even think this is the right stack. This is ridiculous.
Have you read something called Bloodstain?
No, who's it by?
Hold on.
Here they are. Jeez.
Well, I guess my computer was like, we're gonna head out. It's by Linda Sajek.
No.
No idea.
Okay. Is this it? Yes. This is it. So, I've never seen a TV show. I have not read a lot of the old comics, and I need to get a bag and board for this, but this is a large. This is like magazine size.
Oh, wow. That's huge.
Yeah, because I have this one. That's why I said it's the wrong stack. And I have this one as well, which is about, I don't know if y'all have ever heard of the magician. Is her name Zatanna?
Mm-hmm.
This is her. What John Ridley did is that he's looking at the origins of these marginalized voices in DC from what their experiences would have really been like. And this is the one I read about Black Lightning, which talks a little bit about his origin story and what it was like in comics for him, and how, John Stewart was the first Black DC character because he was, Green Lantern Corps, and how that setup was for him, and the dual roles that he had to play to assimilate to what the other superheroes wanted him to be and what he actually was. And I want to read more Black Lightning because in this it gets really interesting, because there's a scene in which Superman comes to Black Lightning and tries to tell him, because I think Black Lightning, if I'm not, it takes place in like Detroit.
Yeah, it's something like that.
He comes to Detroit to tell Black Lightning how to run his city. And it's funny because with John Ridley, of course, he's bringing that element of a white man telling a Black man how to handle his city. And he says, basically, you're out fighting all of these intergalactic battles and all these evil people, but you've got gang violence and drugs in your own neighborhood, and you could give two shits. But here I am doing the dirty work, and you're going to come and tell me how to run my city and what I should and shouldn't be doing when I'm actually fighting the battles that are right here on our front porch. And like, it's really interesting because he didn't even get wrapped up, which is why you don't see Black Lightning often in Justice League. because he turned it down. At least in the context of this story, he turns it down and he ends up working. The name of the group is called the Outsiders, and they were tied to Batman. And it was a lot of like outcasts who ended up working with the Outsiders. So if you're interested in Black Lightning, his origin story and learning about his character as a marginalized character in the DC universe, this is the book to pick up. It is extremely interesting. And I'm very shocked because I didn't realize that I didn't realize that John Ridley was doing so many things with comics, and he's bouncing back and forth between Marvel and DC because he's doing the new Black Panther. He's doing I don't know if y'all have ever heard of Static Shock before.
Mm-mm.
So Static Shock got a reboot this year with some creators.
All right.
The next
that's not the character I expected to get a reboot, but all right.
Well, Milestone. Well, because they're rebooting all of Milestone.
Okay, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, they rebooted all of Milestone. The next Batman is John Ridley's take on Black Batman based off of the Infinite Frontier. I mean, DC's doing a little bit more than Marvel, really. You have Wonder Girl, who's a version of Wonder Woman that's Brazilian, so Brazilian mythology. They're doing some. They're doing some.
I think DC's been a little more on the forefront for.
They have been for years.
Diversifying, which is interesting.
For years,
they just can't get their movie segment together.
I think that because for me, they really honed in on the importance of it when they did the Infinite Frontier thing. When they kind of, it wasn't a reboot per se. It's kind of the dying away of. I always try to explain this to people. I really don't. It takes a lot of time, and I don't know if y'all have the time, so I'm just going to be quiet. I'm being serious.
I can't explain it, so
I don't even think like to explain Infinite Frontier, you have to go through so many different things with DC.
Mm-hmm.
Let me make sure I got the name right. Bree in the chat. This is so interesting. This is so interesting. So I'm gonna make this as quick as possible. So Future State is what happened at the beginning of this year. Future State was DC telling people this is what the possible future of DC will look like. With Future State, you had the introduction of all these diverse characters. You had a Black Green Lantern, which was done by N.K. Jemisin. Her name is Jo. You have Black Batman. John Ridley's on that. You have John, Superman's son, is Asian. You have Wonder Woman, that's Brazilian. And everybody that was there before, like your originals, like Clark Kent and Diana, all of them have died off. Mm-hmm. So you have that. Future State is what has happened. Gotham no longer looks the same. Bruce Wayne technically is quote unquote dead. He's lost all his money. And then what's weird is that they then release Infinite Frontier, which technically chronologically comes before Future State, but is published after Future State. So now you get to see the origin stories of all these diverse characters, which is cool because Marvel's not doing anything like that. So Marvel's like behind the curve when it comes to introducing these diverse characters. But I think DC needs to be careful because sometimes DC has a habit of tokenizing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they'll change the narrative of characters to be diverse. And it's like, was this character really like this? Are you doing it because you want to have rep? So,
yeah.
That's the quick and dirty version.
Makes sense. I feel like that's what I've heard about that. I've not kept up in the last 3-4 years, probably, really. So at least of the big two.
Any other questions, y'all? Or is everybody good?
I'm good.
I think we're all half asleep.
I think everybody's like out of it.
When are we doing the next one? I don't know how sleep came on me at 5 p.m. I've been fighting sleep since.
You don't need to be fighting sleep. Okay, so the read was the 25th through the 9th. I say the next live show won't be until like the last week of November. So like the 29th, 30th, the 1st and the 2nd, around that time. And we'll be doing volumes 3 and 4.
Sounds good. I'm excited.
Not make it a Monday. That would be great.
It's not Monday.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you mean the future that live show don't make it a Monday?
Oh, don't type. No, thank you. No typing.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a Monday.
It's fine. I can't do that Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, but that's okay if I have to miss. I will come back at the next one.
Or no, because you have.
What time? I would probably do Tuesday.
You do Tuesday?
I could do Tuesday, but I will have to miss the rest of the week. I will not be in town.
Okay.
And I don't know because we don't have a schedule yet.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
That's fine. We'll figure it out. Like I said, if I gotta miss one, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. I
will come back. I'm still gonna read them. I'll still be in the chat. Being annoying. It's fine.
All right, y'all. Thanks for coming. Salter, we will do this again. Maybe I'll do a live show where we'll just talk strictly comics in general. I'll go on for hours with that, but I don't have the energy to do it tonight. I don't.
On Saturday night, I'll come do it with you, but it's gotta be. I got somebody here to help me with the dog.
Yeah, it's gotta be. Yeah, it's gotta be a weekend night where I don't have. Mm-hmm. I don't have to think about a child has a doctor's appointment in the morning. Mm-hmm. Type of situation.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm glad I already have my video ready to go for tomorrow, or else I would be pissed right about now.
Yeah, there will be. I probably won't post another video until next year. How I'm feeling.
Hey,
that's okay.
There's nothing wrong with that.
You have to take care of you first.
Man, Black Queen-a-thon is still wearing me out. That might be like a yearly thing. After October,
that's it. No more content.
Me in January.
No more content. All right, y'all.
All right.
We'll see y'all in a couple of weeks. I'll make sure I post like when we finalize the date and stuff for volumes 3 and 4. I'll be sure to post it or share it or whatever the case may be. So y'all will not be left out of the loop or anything like that. And Jalen, I like this title.
Drinks and
Comics. Yeah. I like this title. We may just go with that.
Part 2. I'll bring some wine. I think
that's what messed me up. I drank that wine.
Damn. I also feel like me and you need to catch up. Talking about this one. We need to catch up to these two.
Yeah.
We need to read a bit more.
Yeah.
Y'all should read more. It's fun.
We're gonna have to do immersion therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I give y'all a reading list.
I'll take it.
Listen, if it's easily accessible, I'll read them.
I'll take it. Send it over. I got it. As long as one of my 5 library systems has it.
Not one of your 5.
Find y'all some stuff on Hoopla.
Yeah.
One of the 5.
Yeah, one of the 5. As long as they have it.
You got 5 library systems?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure wow.
I think I have like 6. It's fine. This is normal.
I only have 1. But it's a large system. Huh?
You gotta step your game up. I mean, come on.
Nah, you know what system I'm in. They're pretty good.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not where I'm at, so that's why.
Yeah. I get it. All right, y'all, for real.
That's fine.
No, all right, y'all, for real.
Bye.
Good night. I'm talking about
Good night,
getting off this
everyone.
live. Good night.